Hi Scorpio, here we are with your higher octave reading for the period of August 26 to September 9. We're using the Voyager deck for a little bit of a deeper read on your current situation. As I mentioned at the end of the first reading, you have the Magician card here again, as you did in the first reading. And this time he's showing up in the position of your recent past. This position here is where you're coming into the reading with. You also have, actually, as you had the King of Swords in the first reading, you have at the heart of the reading the Sage of Crystals, which is the same card in this deck. That's super interesting to me. And your crossing card is the Two of Wands, which in this deck is called Purity. Now, what I like here is that on this central axis of the reading, you're coming into this reading with the Magician, the Sage of Crystals, and the outcome card is the Nine of Cups, which is fulfillment. And that kind of says to me that you are embodying or learning to embody how to channel your own magic in order to create your own contentedness and fulfillment. Maybe in the past you've been more kind of externalizing that power and sort of hoping and waiting for the right people to come into your world that will help create that fulfillment. And what I'm getting here is that you're being shown on an energetic level, on a spiritual level, the lesson that you're in right now is about helping you to understand how you can invoke your own magic to have that clarity of mind and to empower yourself to create the fulfillment and the contentedness that you want in your life, independent of the people that are in your close circle. At the foundation of the reading, you've got Devil's Play and the Chariot in reverse. These two cards also represent these are an extension of your energy, an extension of the heart of the reading, of the central theme of the reading. And being that these are at the foundation of the spread, these can kind of talk about energies that are playing out in your unconscious mind or things that you're not aware of. And you also have here at the foundation in the center is, in this deck it's called Anger. It's the Four of Cups in reverse. So I would have to read this to say that, perhaps you've been, again, like I was saying earlier, a little bit disempowered by kind of externalizing some of your manifestation ability into the hands of others and kind of just being at the mercy of whatever's going on around you. And the Chariot in the reverse here, it's with the Man of Worlds in reverse in this deck, so that relates to the King of Pentacles in the Rider-Waite deck. That kind of just sort of indicates to me that in your material world, in your home life or in your work life, that maybe you feel like you haven't had a break or that you haven't been as successful as you want to be. And partly that's because, again, you're not channeling your willpower in the best way, in the right way. You've been kind of like externalizing that power and letting situations unfold as they will, rather than harnessing more the power of the mind, which is what the Sage of Crystals is really about. It's kind of like a really empowered King of Swords who knows very well how to direct mental energy and thoughts to manifest the reality that they want. Being that your crossing card is the Two of Wands here, in this deck it's called Purity, it would again kind of affirm to me or lead me to say that this energy is about, your challenge is to purify the mind and to kind of release yourself from impure thoughts or negative thoughts and cultivate a more clearer state of mind that really is honed as far as how to direct energy into the manifest world to create the reality that you want. Here, I didn't really talk about the Devil's Play card, but in this quadrant here, which is also an extension of your energy or energy in your environment or people around you, you have Devil's Play here in the reverse. Sorry, no, it's upright. Devil's Play relates to the Devil card in the Rider-Waite deck, alongside of the Woman of Crystals. In this deck, it's the Queen of Swords. And she's in the reverse position, as was the Man of Worlds in this quadrant, the King of Pentacles in reverse. And again, I would say this just kind of indicates that you've been coming from a position of slightly disempowered, being that you kind of are just like waiting for situations, or just being in situations and letting them be as they are, and not directing your energy in a way that really feels empowering, and that you can kind of be more directing of your story. The crowning card here is the Man of Cups, and again it's in reverse. And as I said, this central axis here that runs from the subconscious to the conscious mind. At the foundation you had the Four of Cups, which is called anger, and at the conscious mind, the crowning card is the Man of Cups. In this deck it's called Surfer. And this says to me that you it's, you know, you've got all these court cards here with the women, man and woman of crystals and worlds, and the Man of Cups here, indicating that you are being urged to, you know, mature a little bit in yourself and become a little bit more, develop some self-mastery in certain ways, and perhaps just like develop a little bit more maturity in some ways, especially emotionally. You know, being that you have this card called anger at the foundation, it feels like perhaps you have some unresolved issues that you haven't really taken care of. So if there's some emotions in particular, if there's something that you're angry about, and I would say you've got the Devil's play here beside it. Maybe you've had some unhealthy relationships or unhealthy attachments, and that perhaps they've been, you know, maybe if there's been a relationship that's ended recently and it left you with a bad taste in your mouth, there is some purification to do in order to resolve some of that unexpressed anger, so that you're not misdirecting it as you move forward into the next part of your life, so that you don't taint future relationships with some residual emotions from a previous experience. Also sort of affirmed by this card, the Two of Wands, called Purity. It's a time to really purify your energy field and really gain some clarity on who you are, so that moving forward you have a much clearer landscape to step forward into in order to create the fulfillment that you want, that you deserve. It's so interesting here. In this quadrant here, which is your hopes and fears, you have the Fear card, which is the Seven of Cups, and the Star card in reverse, which is actually your hopes and fears. So in your hopes and fears, you have your hopes and fears. I don't know how to be more specific there, other than to say that because you have the Star card in reverse here, it's almost saying to me that, like, it's maybe a little bit of a reminder or a warning to you to be careful not to actually create your fears by thinking about them too much, if that makes sense. You know, the Star card is about optimism and hopefulness. In the upright position, it's a very optimistic card. But seeing it here in the reverse position, in the quadrant of your hopes and fears, alongside of the card called Fear, it's kind of saying to me that you need to be careful not to actually make your fears come true by actually thinking about them too much. And it's almost like you've got this sort of, somehow like a worst case scenario playing out in your mind. And this is a reminder to really be aware of where your thoughts and feelings are, and to remind you that your thoughts and fears, or the things that you spend a lot of time thinking on, whatever you put energy into mentally, is what you'll actually manifest in the physical world. So make sure that you're really, again, honing and purifying your mind, so that you're not replaying old painful experiences that were hurtful or that were disappointing, so that you're not invoking the same kind of experiences again in the future. I hope that makes sense. But I'm really happy to see here in the outcome position of this spread, you have the Wheel of Fortune. In this deck it's called Fortune, number 10 from the Major Arcana, in the upright position, alongside of the Time-Space card, which in this deck is Judgment. And sorry, in the Rider-Waite deck, this card is called Judgment, and it's number 20 in the Major Arcana. So you have two Major Arcanas here, number 10 and number 20, side by side. This gives me a really, really positive feeling that you're you are changing the course of your destiny. That you are waking up, you've had a rebirth, you've had an enlightening experience that may have been tough, it may have been difficult, but it's given you the chance to have a really eye-opening light bulb moment where a revelation has come to light, and it's giving you the chance to see the dawn of a new day and to shift your future by changing your own fortune. It's very empowered, and I'm very happy to see that here as the outcome cards of this spread here, because I really feel like you are making a huge turn in your life and making a big shift and really starting to fully embody the magic that you have within you and channeling the energy of the events and situations and relationships and people that you actually really want to have in your life, to have an embodied sense of comfort and material pleasure and existence in earth that is much more in alignment with the things that you value, with a sense of fulfillment that you are in alignment with your true nature, and that you are creating the life that you want for yourself, and in doing so are starting to experience real magic and overcoming some of the emotional difficulties from your past in order to feel empowered by your history, and in order to overcome difficulties, overcome emotional disappointments, overcome unhappy relationships or unhealthy attachments to things, to people, to environments, to situations, and realizing that you have the opportunity to be much more empowered in your life by driving things forward in the direction that you want to, and walking away from things that are not a vibrational match for you. I love seeing these two cards here at the outcome, fortune and time space. As I said, it's the Wheel of Fortune from the Rider-Waite deck with Judgment. So it's like you are waking up to, you're at the dawn of a new day of your own life, and you are changing your own fortune by waking up. Beautiful. At the bottom of the deck, you have Two of Crystals in the reverse position. That relates obviously to the Two of Swords in the Rider-Waite deck. I would say in regards to that, again, I think you'll have a much swifter transition through this change, through this new cycle that you're moving into, if you can just really bring brutal honesty to the situation, and that will help you gain clarity of mind. Also with the Two of Wands, you have two twos here. Again, just like making the decision to change, or making a decision to move forward and leave behind unhealthy patterns, unhealthy behaviors, unhealthy relationships, and purify your own energetic field by doing so, by actually just changing your mind. At the top of the deck here, let's see, another two. There's the Two of Cups, but it's also in the reverse position. Maybe for some of you, it hasn't shown up here in any of these cards. There was an indication of it in the previous spread, but for some of you, you may be, considering to leave the relationship that you're in if you're currently in a relationship. And you have Woman of Worlds there as well, called Preserver. I'm happy to see her there in the upright position, because you had the Man of Worlds here in the reverse position. As you can see from the image on this card, there is a pregnant woman here. So perhaps for some of you, this does indicate a pregnancy. Although I didn't see any other cards in the spread here that would confirm that. But, there will be that small number of you who are watching this that actually is relevant for. And I feel that that's also a decision there for you that needs to be made. One more. You have the Sage of Wands, the Seer, which is this is obviously the element of fire here. This is the element of pure inspiration, pure intuition, pure life force energy. And I feel like this is a little bit of a boost coming through the reading from your guides, just to give you a little bit of inspiration to help you to know that you're not alone, that you have a lot of support, and that there is energy for you that you can tap into. If you just kind of make more effort to connect with your guides and with your higher self, and strengthen that bond and strengthen that communication, and start to listen more to the intuition that you know you're hearing, and not set it aside and not dismiss or second guess yourself when you have an intuitive impulse. Okay, Scorpio, that's your reading. Have a great cycle, and I'll see you in the next spread.